I will never forget the way he looked at me that night. It was not with hatred, it was worse. It was silence, like I had become a stranger. His mouth did not quiver, his hands did not shake, but his eyes, those familiar, tender eyes, turned cold, unreadable. I had just confessed to sleeping with another man, and he smiled. He looked at me and smiled. That smile was not mercy. It was a warning that I did not understand until I caught him in my sister's apartment, shirtless, breathless, and unapologetically tangled in her sheets. Hey everyone! Before we dive deep into this raw and unforgettable story, I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much to all my amazing subscribers who have been riding this emotional wave with me. To all the new and returning viewers who have not yet subscribed, what are you waiting for? I truly cannot wait for you to hit that subscribe button. Your support is the fuel that keeps this channel going strong. Do not forget to drop your thoughts in the comments after the episode. I read every single one of them. Now, take a deep breath. Let me tell you what happened to me. My name is Chelsea Monroe. I am a 32-year-old woman living in Charlotte, North Carolina. On paper, I had everything. A stable job as a marketing manager, a beautiful 2-story home in a quiet suburb, a loyal husband, or so I thought, and a picture-perfect life. My husband's name is Derek. We met at a business conference in Atlanta 8 years ago. He was tall, gentle, methodical, a software engineer who believed in slow love and steady growth. We got married after 3 years of dating. Everyone said we were perfect. And then there was Tristan. It started harmless, as these things usually do. Tristan was charming, confident, and unlike Derek, he knew how to make a woman feel like the only one in the room. We worked on the same floor, shared long meetings, quick lunches, inside jokes. Then came the drinks, after work, the accidental touches, the long stares that lasted 1 second too long. The first time it happened, I told myself it would be the last. It was in a hotel, during a company retreat in Raleigh. We had both been drinking. There was music, laughter, then silence in the elevator. The door to my room opened, and suddenly I forgot everything I once stood for. It was intense, it was wild, it was wrong, but it did not stop there. I lived in 2 realities. At home, I was Derek's loving wife, cooking breakfast, watching Netflix, sharing quiet Sunday mornings. But inside I was dying. Guilt sat in my chest like a stone. I would wake up in the middle of the night, sweating, imagining him finding out. But I still kept going back to Tristan. He was an addiction, and I was too weak to stop. Until one day, I looked at Derek, across the dinner table, and realized he deserved to know. No matter how much it destroyed him, he needed the truth. I had stolen his peace. He at least deserved honesty. So I told him. It was a Thursday night. I remember the rain tapping on the window. I remember the tremble in my voice, the sting in my eyes, the way my stomach flipped as I said it. Derek, I have been sleeping with someone from work. He did not speak. He just stared at me. My hands were shaking. I felt like throwing up. I expected rage. I expected a glass to be thrown, a scream, a slammed door. But Derek, he just looked at me. Then, after a long pause, he said thank you for telling me. He got up, walked to the kitchen, poured himself a glass of water, and sat back down. I forgive you, Chelsea. And then he smiled. Not a soft smile, not a forgiving smile, a calm, calculated smile that chilled me to the bone. The days that followed were eerie. He said nothing more about it. He did not yell. He did not cry. He even slept beside me, touched me, kissed me goodnight. It was like nothing had happened. But I knew something had changed. He stopped asking where I was going, stopped texting to check in. He stopped looking me in the eye when we made love. That smile haunted me, that unnatural forgiveness. It was too clean, too easy, but I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe that I could earn his trust again. I even quit my job to cut all ties with Tristan. I threw myself into fixing what I broke. I started cooking again, planned romantic evenings, wrote him long letters he never replied to. He accepted the gestures. He kissed my forehead. He smiled. But deep inside, I felt the storm brewing. Now let me introduce someone else. Betrayal, my younger sister, by 7 years. She was wild, beautiful, and everything I was not. A rising star on social media. The type who would go viral for eating cereal in slow motion. She had over 200K followers, and a life full of parties, brand deals, and men she discarded like receipts. But I loved her. She was family. Derek always said she was too much, too flashy, too fake. They never got along. That is why I never suspected anything. But life has a cruel way of proving you wrong. 3 weeks after my confession, I saw it. Derek's phone was left open on the nightstand. Not something he usually did. A message notification lit up the screen. It said, "I miss your hands," and the name attached, Brielle. At first, my brain refused to believe it. I told myself it had to be a mistake. Maybe she meant to text someone else. Maybe it was a joke. But then another message came through. "Are you still coming over tonight?" My heart stopped. The room spun. I picked up the phone. The lock screen was still open. I clicked into the thread, and there it was. Days, maybe weeks of messages. Flirty, sexual, personal. My husband and my sister, plotting rendezvous like teenagers. I could not breathe. I sat on the floor, and cried like I had not cried in years. I wanted to scream, to break something, to disappear. My heart had been torn out, shredded, and fed back to me, in pieces. I confronted him that same night. He did not deny it. He looked me in the eyes, just like he did when I confessed, calm, silent. Then he said, "I told you I forgave you. I just never said I would forget." And that was it. No apology, no guilt, just cold, calculated revenge. And worst of all, my sister did not even flinch when I called her. There is a kind of pain that comes after betrayal, a slow, numbing ache that creeps into your bones and steals the sound from the world around you. That was what the days felt like. After I found the messages, I did not scream. I did not call my mother. I did not storm into Brielle's apartment and drag her by the hair, though every cell in my body begged me to. I just sat in our bedroom, alone, silent, trying to make sense of how the man who once brought me soup when I had the flu could so easily crawl into my sister's bed and whisper the same lies I once believed were meant for me. But maybe that was the point. Maybe his silence was a form of cruelty I could not understand, until I tasted it. And God, I tasted every bitter drop. After I confronted him, Derek did not leave. He did not pack a bag, or even sleep on the couch. He simply stood there in the middle of our bedroom, arms crossed, watching me unravel. "I told you I forgave you," he said again. Only this time, his tone was not calm. It was surgical, cold. "But that did not mean I would not hurt you." And then he walked past me, brushed my shoulder like I was dust in the air, and headed to the bathroom. That was it. No guilt, no shame, no tears, just routine. The next morning, he made coffee like always. He kissed my cheek as he left for work, and I stood there, barefoot in the kitchen, wondering if I had fallen into some kind of psychological hell. I did not call Brielle immediately. I needed a few days, not to cool off, but to gather the pieces of myself. But when I did call her, it was exactly what you would expect from someone who had never known boundaries. Someone who had always felt entitled, whatever she wanted, even if it meant destroying what I had. I dialed her number. She picked up with a bubbly, "Hey sis." I did not waste time. "How long?" she sighed. Then silence. "You do not get to do that, Brielle," I said, choking back rage. "You do not get to breathe like it hurts you." I asked how long. There was a pause, then the most brutal reply I had ever heard. "Long enough for him to tell me I was better than you." My hand went numb, my breath hitched, and for a second, I could hear my pulse thumping in my ears. She continued before I could speak. "You cheated first, Chelsea. What did you think was going to happen? That he would sit around while you played house with your office boy?" I hung up, not because I was finished, but because if I had kept listening, I would have smashed the phone into the wall. That was the moment I realized something painful. This was not just Derek's revenge. It was their revenge. For weeks, I played along. We had dinners, went to the grocery store, laughed when the cashier asked how long we had been married. Derek would slide his arm around my waist and say 6 years and counting, and I would smile, but my smile was broken. At night, I could feel him pulling away inch by inch. His hands on my body were colder, his eyes drifted elsewhere. He stopped responding to my "I love you," and when he disappeared some nights, claiming late deployments or server crashes, I stopped asking questions because I already knew where he was and with whom. I began watching Brielle's Instagram, like a detective, zooming in on curtains in the background of her stories, noticing subtle details. A watch I had bought Derek in her videos, a wine glass from our kitchen, the faint sound of Derek's voice, off camera, muffled, but unmistakably him. The humiliation was not just private anymore. They were sloppy, careless, and worse, proud. It was my mother who sensed something was wrong. She had invited us over for a family dinner one Sunday. I tried to decline, but Derek insisted we go, like he wanted to parade his victory in front of everyone, including the woman who gave birth to both of us. When we arrived, Brielle was already there. She greeted Derek first. Her hug lingered. Her fingers brushed his chest in a way no sister-in-law should ever touch a man married to her own blood. I noticed my mother watching. She was quiet all evening. Her eyes darted between us. She kept forgetting things. The salt, the napkins, the wine she meant to I could see her brain spinning. Finally, when dessert was served, she asked the question, "Is everything all right between you two?" I opened my mouth. Derek beat me to it. "Could not be better, Mom," he said, smiling with that same damn smile. "We are stronger than ever." Brielle giggled, and my mother narrowed her eyes. I excused myself and went to the bathroom. I stared at my reflection. My mascara was beginning to bleed. My lips were trembling, and behind me, I could hear them laughing in the dining room. I walked out. I grabbed my purse, and I left. That was the night I decided, if they wanted war, they would get it. I hired a private investigator. I know, it sounds dramatic, but I needed evidence, proof, something beyond the text messages and the gut feeling. Within a week, he sent me photos. Derek and Bria at a hotel in uptown Charlotte, him holding her waist, her kissing his neck, him swiping his keycard, her glancing around nervously before following him inside. Date stamped, time marked, clear as daylight. I cried when I saw the photos, not because I doubted it before, but because now it was real, tangible. It was not just betrayal, it was a spectacle. One night, Derek came home late again. I was sitting in the dark, waiting. He stepped in and paused when he saw me. "Lights not working?" he asked. I looked up at him. "They work fine," I said. "But I wanted to see how long it would take you to see me." He sighed, ran his fingers through his hair, tossed his keys on the table. "I know about Brielle," I said flatly. He did not respond. I saw the photos. Still, silence. I stood, walked up to, shoved them against his chest. "You disgust me." Finally, he looked at me. Not cold, not angry, just tired. "You think this is about sex?" he asked. I blinked. "Then what is it about?" He leaned closer. His voice dropped. "This is about pain, Chelsea. You gave it to me first. I just gave it back." Then he walked past me, again, and I let him. The next morning, I sent the photos to my mother. She called within minutes, screaming, crying, begging to know it was fake. I told her it was not. By the end of the week, the family group chat was silent. No more Happy Friday texts, no more updates from cousins, just silence. Brielle blocked me, on everything. My mother stopped speaking to her, and I was left in the middle, betrayed, heartbroken, humiliated, and alone. I filed for separation, not because I did not love Derek anymore, but because I loved myself enough to stop bleeding for someone who watched me die inside, and smiled. It is strange how betrayal does not scream. It whispers. It creeps into your bones, makes a home in your lungs, and takes your breath before you even realize it has stolen your voice. I did not scream when I caught them. I did not scream when I saw the pictures. I did not scream when Derek confessed. But I screamed the day I stood outside Brielle's apartment and heard them laughing from inside. That was the day I stopped being the victim. That was the day I stopped protecting the people who tore me apart and started telling my truth. It was a humid Saturday, the kind that makes your skin stick to your clothes. I drove to Brielle's apartment without calling. I knew Derek would be there. He was not even hiding it anymore. I stood outside her door, listening. There was music playing, low jazz. A wine bottle popped open. Then I heard her laugh. My sister's unmistakable laugh, light and arrogant. A laugh I used to love. Now it cut like a blade. I knocked. Footsteps approached. The door opened. It was her. She was wearing my robe. A white silk one with lace cuffs, a wedding gift from our mother. Her smile faded when she saw me. She stepped back but did not invite me in. Derek appeared behind her, shirtless, casual, holding a glass of wine like this was a damn honeymoon. I stepped in without permission. She tried to block me. I shoved her arm. "Do not touch me," I said. The apartment was scented with vanilla candles, the same ones I used to buy for our home, a cheap imitation of a life they helped destroy. I turned to Derek. "So this is what forgiveness looks like." He sipped his wine. "Calm, always calm. I warned you, Chelsea." Brielle crossed her arms. "You need to leave." I turned to her, and said the thing I had been holding inside my chest, like a loaded gun. "You are a stain on our family." She laughed, but it was defensive.
You slept with someone first, or did you I owned my mistake. I snapped. I confessed it. I begged for help. But you turned my husband into your playground, and you expect what? Understanding? Derek interrupted. You did not beg for help. You confessed because the guilt became too loud. You told me, because you needed to be clean. You wanted me to suffer silently. You wanted me to stay faithful while your body was still addicted to someone else. I stood there, paralyzed, because as much as I hated him, his words were not wrong, but they were no excuse for what he did. There were 1,000 ways to respond, I whispered, and you chose the one that burned everything to ash. He tilted his head. I chose the one that made you feel it. That was the last thing he said to me. I turned, walked out and never looked back. 2 weeks later, I filed for divorce. There was no fight. Derek signed the papers like he was signing off a company memo. Cold, fast, clean. My mother did not attend the final mediation. She had stopped speaking to Betrayal entirely. The family was fractured, perhaps forever. I moved out of our house. I could not stay in a place that had become a graveyard of lies and secrets. I left the furniture, the photos, even the bed sheets. Everything felt dirty. I packed only clothes, my journals and a few. I moved into a small one-bedroom apartment on the east side of Charlotte. It was quiet, it was lonely, but it was mine. What hurt more than anything was what happened online. Betrayal's followers never knew the truth. They saw her post beach photos with captions like, "Sometimes, love finds you where you least expect it." Unapologetic. I wanted to comment. I wanted to expose them. I wanted the world to know what they had done, but I knew that would only make me look bitter. It would feed them, fuel them. So I stayed silent. But silence does not mean healing. Every post she made was like a knife turned slowly in my back. Every time someone commented, "You two are goals," I wanted to scream. Because the truth was, they were not love. They were revenge in human form. Months passed. I started therapy. I picked up journaling again. I even started a blog, anonymous at first, where I told parts of my story under the name Scarred Sister. Then one night, my phone rang. It was my mother. She was crying. "I thought I should tell you," she said. "Tell me what." "They are done, Derek and Betrayal." It did not last. I closed my eyes. My heart did not leap with joy. It did not break. It just felt tired. Apparently, Betrayal had cheated on him. Poetic justice. Derek found out, threw her out of his condo, changed his number, blocked her. And now, Betrayal was trying to crawl back into the family's good graces. She had even sent my mother flowers, apologies, voice notes filled with regret. But I did not care, because the thing about revenge is, it always circles back. A week later, I received a handwritten letter. It was from Derek. I almost threw it away, but curiosity won. It read, "Chelsea, there is not a day I do not remember the look on your face, the night you told me the truth. I thought sleeping with Betrayal would even the scales. I thought it would make us square, but I was wrong. It only made me into someone I cannot look at in the mirror. I lost the only woman who ever had the courage to admit her failure and fight for us. I am sorry, but I know it is too late. Derek." I stared at that letter for a long time. I did not cry, because by then, my tears had dried. Forgiveness is a strange thing. You think it means letting someone back in, but sometimes, forgiveness is setting yourself free from the weight of the hatred you carry. I did forgive Derek, not to mend things, not to rekindle anything, but because I no longer wanted to be tethered to the darkness he left in my life. I forgave Betrayal too, not out of love, but because her betrayal taught me the most brutal and beautiful lesson I will ever learn. Blood does not equal loyalty. I started dating again, slowly, not to replace, not to forget, but to learn what it meant to be touched without pain, to be seen without being compared to someone else's ghost. Love will not be perfect. It never was, but I know now what I want, and more importantly, what I will never tolerate again. If you are still listening to this, thank you. You made it through the ugliest, rawest, most soul-ripping story I have ever told. I told it because I know someone out there feels like I did, humiliated, broken, wondering if they will ever feel whole again. Let me tell you something. From one scarred heart to another, you will wake up one day, and not ache. You will walk past the mirror and not hate the reflection. You will learn to laugh again, love again, live again. And when you do, you will thank the fire for making you into something stronger than before.